This week on Let's Fish TV, we're here on Grand Bayou Reservoir. From everything I've been told by the locals, it has some giant bass, and I can't wait to get out there and hopefully hook into a couple of those monster bass. You know, we're gonna start out the day fishing brush in 10 to 12 foot of water, using big worms and wacky rigs, and hopefully put one of those big ones in the boat early. And as the day progresses and as it gets hotter, we're gonna shift out to some schooling fish and throw jerk baits and topwaters and use that forward-facing sonar to help us land those fish. Let's Fish TV is on the air right now.
That is a fish. Oh man, look at this.
It's time for the only program that brings you real-time fishing reports from the Southwest region every week.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, look at that. Woo!
This is Let's Fish.
This week on Let's Fish TV, we're here on Grand Bayou Reservoir, located just outside of Coshada, Louisiana, and about 30 minutes north of Natchitoches. You know, this lake is only about 2,700 acres, but one thing that I've been told by a lot of the locals here is it has some really big fish. So I can't wait to get out there and show you exactly what some of those fish look like. We'll also have this week's fishing report from your local region from our insider reporters. In the meantime, I'm gonna get this boat launched, get it set up, and I can't wait to get out there and show you what's going on. In the meantime, I'll toss it back to the studio for your weekend planner.
Hey everybody, these Salooner tables are showing fair fishing conditions on Saturday and good activity on Sunday. Peak daytime activity will start at 8:23 on Saturday and 9:22 on Sunday morning. Nighttime action picks up around 8:48 on Saturday and 9:47 Sunday night. Depending on your local area, expect the sun to rise around 7:24 and set around 7:12. Evenings will feature a moon that is 19% visible. We'll be right back to check out all of the current fishing reports from throughout the area. Plus, I will return with Bassmaster Elite Angler Brandon Card to answer this week's Ask the Pro question. Stay with us.
Let's Fish TV is proudly backed by Lose. Feel the difference. Waypoint Customs. Customize your boat your way. Strike King. Tie one on. Glacier Glove. Stay outdoors longer with our gloves, hats, and shades. Fishing Specialties. Makers of the premier mount assembly for live sonar.
Started fishing these brush piles out in deeper water. Fish were suspended all in them, and I knew they were bass. I could see them. Oh, there we go. Here in the summertime, especially in the middle of summer, you gotta always keep a topwater in hand. And not necessarily in hand, but at least on the front deck. Because you never know when those fish might get to blowing up around you and schooling. Because this time of year, especially when those lakes start turning over, it's really good for those fish to be sitting up there high, and you can catch them just like that. You know, today we're here on Grand Bayou, and you know, a buddy of mine fishes this lake all the time. Before we got here today, it already caught a 9-pounder. Is this a 9-pounder? Absolutely not. It's a nice bass, it's a lot of fun, and they're schooling all over the place right now. The middle of the summer is a great time to catch these fish. Get this fish back real quick. The middle of summer is a great time to catch these fish though. You can do a lot of different things. Here at Grand Bayou, you can do even more. You know, on the north end of the lake, there's lily pads and grass, so you can go throw a frog and a topwater. Come on the lower end of the lake, there's schooling fish, there's brush piles. You can use your forward-facing sonar and catch these fish. This lake is absolutely loaded. Even when the lake's turning over, even when it's 100 degrees out, you can still catch bass. And that's the big key here. You don't have to go sit on your couch when it's hot. Go out there early and late, you're gonna catch more bass, especially here at Grand Bayou. Oh, big one. Big one. There we go, guys. Now this is what Grand Bayou is all about, is this fish right here. Holy cow. Had to downsize my offering, and that's a big key. Oh my gosh, guys, this is a giant. You gotta downsize your offering sometimes in the late summer. What these fish will do is they'll suspend all around, and they'll get really hard to catch. But there's giants that can be caught. I've got to get down and lip this fish real quick because he is so big. Oh gosh, okay, come here fish. Come here, fish. Oh my gosh, look at that fish. All right, what's your try? Oh, okay. Okay, come here, fish. Oh, there we go. Check that out, fellas. Check that out. That is such a giant August bass right there. Picked up the old faithful wacky rig, started fishing these brush piles out in deeper water. Fish were suspended all in them, and I knew they were bass. I could see them down there. I mean, they're really nice, healthy fish. I mean, look at this fish. This is an August bass, probably pushing 6.5 pounds. Really beautiful fish. Let me get this fish released real quick, and we'll talk a little bit about it. All right, let's get out of there, fish. There we go. Got that fish back, guys, and I can't even begin to tell you, like, I'm shaking still. Like, when you catch a fish, a really nice fish, especially this time of year, it's hot, sweaty, it's over 100 degrees today, and I picked up the old faithful Nico rig. Now, what a Nico rig is it's a soft plastic stick bait. In this case, I'm throwing a 5-inch Strike King Ocho, and you rig the hook vertical, and you put a little rubber band on it, and what this does is that it slowly flutters through those brush piles, through those stumps. What is going on right now is these fish are sitting up in the water column. They're really hard to catch. And for a long time, we didn't have a way to catch these fish. But with the forward-facing sonar that we have today, it really makes it so much easier to target these fish in these tougher times of the year, especially when they get up and suspend. Are these fish impossible to catch? Absolutely not. What this Ocho does is it floats down in front of their face, and it eventually will trigger them into biting. And the rewards can be extremely satisfying, especially when you catch a fish of that magnitude. And here we have another nice jerkbait bass. As you can tell, they're just smoking this jerkbait. Oh, that feels like a good one there. Man, I just love a good jerkbait bite. There's nothing that beats it. Especially light line. And we're here in Louisiana. We're at Grand Bayou, which is just north of Natchitoches. Oh, yeah, that's a really good one, guys. Just north of Natchitoches, Louisiana. And you wouldn't think to throw a jerkbait this time of year, but when those fish are suspended, when they're chasing bait like they are right now, you kind of have to change things up a little bit. You got to be able to adapt to whatever the day might throw your way. And here we have another nice jerkbait bass. I mean, as you can tell, they're just smoking this jerkbait. And you know, there's a lot of baits you can try, and don't get me wrong, like you might be able to catch a few of these fish on a spoon, you might be able to catch a few of them on a swim bait and things like that, but I opt for a jerkbait, and I'll tell you exactly why. This time of year, the fish have seen a lot of bait. You gotta have to make them react sometimes, and that jerkbait is so erratic, and that KVD 300 is so erratic, that it causes these fish to react to your bait. And here in Louisiana, that's not a traditional bait that you would typically pick up and throw, but you know what? It absolutely puts fish in the boat. I'm gonna get this fish back real quick, and I'm gonna talk to you a little bit about my setup. You know, to me, setup is probably one of the most important aspects of throwing a jerkbait. And you gotta, and I'll explain it to you. I'm gonna make a little short cast out here, and I'm gonna show you what you're supposed to do. This rod is really short. It's only about 6'9", 6'10", and you don't want a really long rod, because when you're throwing that jerkbait, if you throw a longer rod, you're gonna be hitting the water the whole time. You wanna be able to keep that rod right above the surface of the water and be able to give that bait the most erratic action that it can have. If you use too long a rod, you're not gonna have that. The other big important aspect is 7.5 to 1 gear ratio reel. That 7.5 to gear ratio reel will actually allow you to catch up to those fish, because a lot of times when they hit that jerkbait, especially in the summer when they're super active like they are right now, they're gonna knock slack in it, and you got to catch up with them, and that's the only way to actually put them in the boat. But if you shorten your rod up a little bit, you'll put more fish in the boat, and you won't break any rod tips, and you won't hit the water whenever you're throwing that jerkbait.
Let's Fish TV is proudly backed by Mercury. Go boldly. Lowrance, America's #1 fish finder. Gulf Shores and Orange Beach, Alabama. Get our free fishing guide at orangebeach.com. Motor Guides Tour Pro with GPS Anchor. The tour is back. Blazer, high-performance boats for high-performance anglers.
Oh my gosh, they're just blowing up everywhere. Oh, one just destroyed it right there. There we go. Gosh, they're just blowing up everywhere. Oh, one just destroyed it right there. There we go. Golly. Another nice little bass. Nothing crazy big, but I mean, like, lots and lots of fun. Here in Grand Bayou, man, like this place has them. I know I'm gonna be back. There's no doubt about that. But once again, that was all thanks to keeping that topwater on my deck ready at hand for when these fish came blowing back up. You have to really be paying attention out here this time of year, because if you miss that cast by just a couple feet, you're gonna miss out. But real fast, I'm gonna show you exactly how to use this Sexy Dog Junior. I think it's really important to understand how to use this particular bait. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna cast it out there, and they're not schooling right now. But what you're doing is you want to create a little bit of slack in your line, and you're popping your line just like this. And what this does is it forces that bait to go side to side to side, and what looks like a wounded bait fish on top of the water. I always like to pop slack line, and I mean, if you hit that slack line, it forces that Sexy Dog to go side to side, all the way back in. And it really entices that strike. But the one big key to this whole operation is this little puppy right here, this little loop knot. The loop knot is probably the one thing that I use on almost every single topwater. The only topwater I don't use a loop knot on is a prop bait. A prop bait, not so much, because what I'm trying to do with it is I'm bringing it straight. But most topwaters, I'm trying to walk them. And I'm using braid to mono leader. The reason I use that, you'll have guys that tell you to use straight braid, and straight braid works, don't get me wrong, it does. But the problem with straight braid is it's a lot softer. So when you go to walk the dog, especially if you're having to walk it kind of hard, that front hook will hang that braid and therefore ruin your cast. And it might be at the very end of your cast as soon as you land in those schooling fish. By adding that little small mono leader, that will completely eliminate the need for hooking that front line. So it eliminates that. There's no strength lost here because this is a 17-pound Strike King mono. You're not gonna break that. It has a little bit of stretch too, so it gives you a little bit of leverage, a little bit of leeway in case you do kind of set the hook a little bit too hard, which I tend to do sometimes too. So yeah, whenever you're making that cast in there, make sure you're accurate, make sure you're popping that slack line. It'll make that bait work magical for you. Oh, there we go. Man, what a nice bass. God, he just destroyed that Sexy Dog Junior. Oh my gosh, that was so much fun. Man, you know they're eating it when they get that front hook in their mouth just like that. You know, Grand Bayou has been an absolute blast today. We have caught so many of this size fish and bigger. You know, caught a 6.5 pounder on a wacky rig in the middle of a brush pile. You know, and the other thing is I've been told this lake is absolutely stocked full of giant bass. Did we catch a bunch of them today? No. But you know, one thing we did catch is a lot of fish. And that's one thing that Grand Bayou brings to the table is a good number of fish. You know, we have a thunderstorm getting ready to roll in today. And you know, we've caught a bunch of fish. I hope y'all have enjoyed today. I hope you've learned a little bit about how to catch them here at Grand Bayou. It doesn't really matter what you fish. You can come down here and catch schooling fish, or you can go to the north end and fish a frog and a worm, the lily pads and pepper grass. The possibilities are endless here at Grand Bayou. And you know one thing, we gotta go put on the trailer because I don't wanna get stuck out here in a bad storm.
Watch our latest latest episode or catch up on past episodes on our website at letsfishtv.com. Be sure to hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter for new fishing videos every day. And download the free Waypoint TV app to get all the latest episodes every week on your phone, tablet, computer, or smart TV. Let's Fish TV is proudly backed by Academy Sports and Outdoors, making it easier than ever to gear up and have fun out there. Power Pole, total boat control. Visit Mississippi, good times are close by. Low Boats, 50 years of boating craftsmanship. Balls Out, made in the USA, heavy-duty mounts for your fish finders.
Welcome back, everyone. Let's get right to your Ask the Pro question for this week. Cecil wants to know, what are some things you do to stay positive when things just aren't going your way? For an answer, we asked Bassmaster Elite Angler Brandon Card.
The way I stay positive on the water is just to, always see the bright side in everything. My first couple years on tour, after a rough finish, I would get real down on myself and, just kind of had a bad attitude, for several days after a rough tournament. But just being able to just see a bigger picture and just know that, life is so much more than, what we do on the water, whether we're fishing in tournaments or what have you. So I'm a Christian, so I like to, give God all the glory in everything I do. And so just staying positive on the water and off the water, just having a good attitude, goes a long way in life.
Thanks so much, Brandon. If you have something that you would like to ask one of the pros, if you need some help from one of the pros, simply go to letsfishtv.com, follow the Ask the Pro link to submit a question. Now it's time to find out who wins this week's Big Catch of the Week.
It's time for this week's winner in the Big Catch of the Week contest. This week's winner is Dan Martin of McAllister, Oklahoma, with a 10.7-pound largemouth bass he caught at Lake McAllister, Oklahoma.
Here's today's Right Stuff, presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Today on Grand Bayou, there was a couple of different baits that really played a key part of catching these fish. To catch the kicker of the day, I went to a Nico rigged 5-inch Ocho in the black and blue color. The water was a little bit dirty, a little dingy, and you had to go to a little bit different color, but the fish were suspended up in the tops of these brush piles, so that Nico rig would fall really slow right through the middle of those fish, and it ended up catching our biggest one of the day at around 6.5 pounds. Then as the day progressed and it got hotter, we used a two-pronged approach to catch schooling fish. We used a KVD jerkbait, a 300 in size, the deep diver though. The deep diver was the big key there because those fish were sitting about 8 foot down in about 12 foot of water and they were suspended. And using that deeper diver and jerkbait, I was able to put it right in their face, which therefore helped me land more fish. But you know what? You can't leave the ramp without a topwater this time of year, and we didn't today, and I'm glad we didn't. We had a Sexy Dog Junior tied on. And the one thing I love about the Sexy Dog Junior is A, you can cast it a long way, and B, it's a little bit smaller profile, so it kind of matches the hatch for this time of year, especially for schooling fish that have gotten a lot of pressure. There's one feature that we've added to this low Stinger 198 bass boat that I think almost every one of you need, and that's the power pole charge. The power pole charge is not just like any other charger. It does a lot more than just that. It does charge your cranking batteries, charge your trolling batteries, but it also charges them when you're running your big engine. Yes, you heard that correctly. So when you're running across the lake, your trolling motor batteries and your cranking battery will be charged. And the other thing that it does is in case you break down there on the water, you can actually jump your cranking battery off your trolling batteries with a touch of a button. The power pole charge is more than just a charger. It's definitely one of those things that has made my life immensely easier on the water. I don't have to carry jumper cables anymore. It's something that I definitely think that you need to check out anytime you get a chance at powerpole.com. Guys, I really hope y'all enjoyed today's episode. I hope you learned how to find and catch them here on Grand Bayou. Barry's back next week. Until next time, I'll see you on the water.